Okay, so now recording. I wish I could block out the noise that's coming in. Um, so there's a bunch of people who are commenting on the Teal Swan um, docu-series. That's what it's called. I think it's called The Deep End. Um, and people in general who are watching her content and are commenting about whether her haters, as she called them, or just people who are critiquing. I mean, I feel like if you're critiquing, you're kind of a hater. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. Um, oh boy, this noise. It's bright light in my eyes, though. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's take away some of this light. I think I'll have fun on this thing here. I want a little bit of light, though. I don't want all the light to go away. Okay, so that's a little better. Okay, that's really good. So these people who are commenting, they'll say things like, "Oh, she is extremely narcissistic. She's an egomaniac." They say things go to as far as to say like her teachings are not that remarkable, as this one guy said. Um, I mean, whatever there is negative thing they could say about somebody who has a platform, especially with somebody who in the field of new thought, psychology, philosophy, that kind of stuff. Number one, when you're that person, and I know firsthand about it because I was born in a very similar perspective. When you're that person, people hate you because nobody likes to know it all. That's number one. And I'm somebody who was born with the capacity to pretty much understand most, if not everything there is to understand. Now, that is not my reality right now because of all the trauma I've been through and my current situation that I currently keep manifesting because of those traumas and also bad choices. Um, Bad choices not because I'm an asshole, but because I suffer so much with trusting myself. But I don't want to go too deep into everything else. I just want to. I said I would just go straight, cut to the chase. But anyway, these people who are watching, there is something that happens with people, and it happens to me. And in general, people people will whenever people are hearing things that are either criticizing them or things that suggest that they have to make changes in their lives or things that intimidates them or thing that shows them that the person who is speaking is saying things that there's a word I'm looking for. I hope I get it. Things that the person is saying things that will suggest that the person knows more than them, things that would make them jealous of the person. In just like a know-it-all, it's like if you're a know-it-all, it's like somebody like Teal Swan. She has a lot of knowledge, a lot, and when you're when people in the mainstream psychology field, when they come across somebody like her, it intimidates them. It fucks with their head because they are dealing with somebody who has a capacity to understand everything about the mind just like that. When these people, when they had to go to school and sit down and learn for years, and it fucks with them. There's a lot of jealousy, and there's a lot of them are intimidated by it. A lot of them are uncomfortable. It provokes them. It perplexes them, and so when people like those and people in general, when they watch her videos And I know it happens to me when I watch her videos and people who are doing the same things that I'm doing too. It happens to me too. It's just that the difference between me and most other people, I'm not a hater in the sense where I'm just gonna hate on somebody and not deal with why I'm hating on them. I'd rather just admit that I'm jealous and work on that. Um, they, these people, okay, to go back what I was saying, these kind of people, they kind of dissociate when they're viewing and consuming her content. They pull away from so much of what she's saying. They are not present. They're not fully present for it, right? They're not fully present for it because, again, it intimidates them. And when you're not, so say she's making a full paragraph statement about something that is so powerful and so groundbreaking. Um, the a person who is in the psychology field viewing that, they will start to absorb some of what she's saying in the paragraph and miss so much of what she does say in that same paragraph because the fact that they're entering the paragraph with her and so much of what she's saying is intimidating because it's groundbreaking and it's something they don't know, they never knew about until she said it. They will only hear some of this. They will only hear some of what she's saying because it when it intimidates you, the parts of it that intimidates you, you pull away, you dissociate from it to avoid the discomfort of feeling the hurt of being intimidated by it, the hurt of being of feeling smaller, the hurt of feeling insecure about it. So you pull away from that, you dissociate from it, and you don't hear fully what you're not fully present. So you're not hearing the full paragraph, you're not hearing the full video, you're not even when you're reading this happens. You're not fully present for it. And so when these people because they're not fully present and they don't hear everything, they only hear the parts that might be basic according to them. They only hear the parts that might be familiar, things that they know already. And then they're like, oh, we know that already. So because they know that already, and they're not fully present for the parts that they don't really know, that impacts the mind and makes them feel as though she's just basic. What she's saying is nothing special. Along with the fact that they don't really like her because it's like, because they dissociate, there's a part of their mind that is observing that. So there's another part of their mind that kind of knows that so much that she has to say is groundbreaking, but they don't want to admit to that because there's another part of them that the more conscious part of them is existing in the state of she's not that great, she's not that groundbreaking, because that's the part of them that was present. The part of them that was not present is the part of them that did not fully hear, even though there's another part of them that kind of is observing it. Listen, the mind is very complex. The mind is very layered, it's very complex, it's very dissociative. It has multiple layers and multiple parts of it that is all existing in the same thing. And it's the one part is observing the next part, one part is comforting the next part, one part is protecting the next part. And all these parts are existing in different layers that are coming from different traumas and the same traumas that is bleeding into. Listen to me. The mind and this universe and life is not black and white at all. But I digress. They're not present for it, and so they're convinced that she's not that great because they didn't hear fully what she had to say. Because were they fully present for it, they would find it so groundbreaking and so irrefutable, so much of what she has to say, that they couldn't even bring themselves to comment and say anything. But that's one type of them, one type of those people. Some of those same other people, they are fully present for it, but they're too much of haters. They're such haters that even they see that it's great, groundbreaking. but they can't admit to it because they can't. So what they do the same thing that these other people over here did, who weren't present for it. They they criticize and say she's not that great because they can't bring themselves to admit to it because they need the people on the outside. There are people on the outside who are viewing her content or not, but they're watching the content of the hater who is speaking, right? So the hater who is speaking is either they see a little bit of her content and decided to either not see anymore, and so they themselves they don't they too they get to buy into this idea that she's just a basic teacher and she's narcissistic. I mean, I'm sure she's narcissistic. I don't think it's possible for any human being to not be narcissistic right now, and I don't think she denies it. That's the thing. When people reference me as being narcissistic, I came to a place of acceptance that I have my narcissism. I came to that place, and so um yeah, they say she's narcissistic. She's a narcissist. She's a egomaniac. She's not that special. She's hurting people and all these things, and all these things they're lies. They're complete lies. um Me as a teacher, as a similar teacher, which there are similar teachers out there like her and myself, but they're very rare. And for the most part, the people in the field right now, they're very vanilla, and they kind of tell you what you want to hear. And don't get me wrong, the world is waking up, but but yeah, for the most part, I think I was trying to make a point with that and I forgot. Anyway, I'm just saying that I'm trying to get people to understand what is really going on here. There's so many different type of people who hate on people like Teal Swan. If I make it in the mainstream, if I make it at all, because I'm behind. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but there's some improvements going on with me, but it's still really hard. It's still really hard for me to put myself out there. It's feel that whenever I have to put myself to speak up, and what I need to do right now is just to speak up to the common person. When I find myself having to have to do that, I feel that my skin is burning off because there's so much trauma and so much negative energy, let's put it that way, attached to these traumas. So that's my can I call it a dilemma? I don't know what's the right word right now, but I'm trying to get people to understand that somebody, even if she's a egomaniac and a full-blown narcissist, it doesn't mean that so much as she has to say is not valid. Sometimes we have to take knowledge and healing advice from people who we think are the worst type of people. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say that, but people have that perception of people who are in certain positions that are supposed to be healing. They're supposed to be healers, rather. So, I'm sure there's more to say about this, but I'm going to try to upload this video. All right.